Man, how distracting would that be to see this thing hanging on my hat the whole time? I wouldn't do that to you. Out here at my camper. It's my birthday and I am just hanging out. I have got a whole table full of stoves that I was fooling around with. I did a video on this really cool Fire Maple Petrel Pot. I don't know how the video is going to come out, so I might just have to clip it and throw clips in, because the place I was at, there was an interstate behind me and it was really, really loud. And my wife, bless her heart, is doing all the running around today, so I came here last night. I went across the way, enjoyed an adult beverage with my dad, and then I came back over here and I went to bed, woke up and just read a book, hung out at camp. There is a group on Facebook for Fire Maple, and somebody had mentioned that they don't get to see really a lot of like comparisons in stoves. But for this, we're gonna talk about these stoves with these heat exchangers on them.
What's up, Shane?
Hey, what's up, dude?
How you been?
Excellent, what are you doing?
I was staying down here a few lots.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll have to come down and see you.
Yeah, come down and visit, man. I'll see you later. Being a youth pastor has its quirks. Like, I just ran into one of my old youth students. Okay, so where was I? So there are 3 sizes of isobutane propane fuel mix for your stoves. There are the 100 gram, the 230 gram, and this guy's what, the 440 gram? Or we say 4 ounce, 8 ounce, 16 ounce. I recommend for the petrol pot 4 ounce. And the reason why is because it fits in the pot. But don't be a savage and just drop this into your pot. That damages your pot in time. Walking and hiking, it wears the bottom. And this stuff isn't stainless steel. This will create around this edge right here. And I've seen this, like oxidation or rust, it'll wear in your pot. Just don't do it. So I recommend using a handkerchief. Wrap it up in a handkerchief, drop it in there. You can use a bigger one, you can use a smaller one, it doesn't matter. You can take a paper towel and put it at the bottom. You could cut a piece of fabric and put in there. There's actually different type of like little silicone pieces you could put on here, whatever, but just don't savagely drop this. Now, I have also seen companies where they recommend using the top, putting this plastic piece, leaving it on there, and then turning your canister this direction, like that. So that way the plastic is touching the bottom of your pot. And then like take your little stove like this and just put in there. And this right here, because it has this heat exchanger on here, is actually a complete kit. With fuel canister, stove, pot, you're good to go. Now this pot is very unique as opposed to these others, and the reason why I say it's unique is because it has a cutout in the heat exchanger to lock in with the stove. So any stove that has a 120 degree 3-prong angle like this, 3-prong pot stand like so. This is the GreenPeak stove from Fire Maple. It's a great little stove with a piezo igniter on there. Isn't that nice? So the cool thing about this, and I'm going to show you, is this fits right into the heat exchanger. So when it fits into the heat exchanger, it actually brings the pot down lower, puts the burner itself closer to the pot, and extends the flames into the heat exchanger around the entire base of the pot. That's why I got 1 minute and 45 seconds for a boil time for 16 ounces of water when I very first tested this. Now, this is the GreenPeak stove. Like I said, this has a piezo igniter on it. This guy right here in this case is the Polaris stove. It does not have a piezo igniter on there, and it has little tiny bumps at the bottom of the pot stands, if you can see those there, that kind of work like little locks. So that way your stove won't slit, or your pot stand won't slip back on you so hard. Once you have pressure on it, it pushes down, they lock. It's really a nice little setup. There's also a 120 degree offset 3-prong pot stand, and it'll fit. Now keep in mind, not all 120 degrees between here for 3-prong pot stands on burners will fit inside of this. If you have some, like maybe the Optimus Crux, that has like a little bit of a tilt on it, or maybe they take these ends and they're bent over, they won't fit. It has to be a very narrow end on the pot stand like this. You see that? Because they need to fit into these grooves. So, how awesome is that? I love this Polaris burner. It's got this beautiful pressure regulator on here, which is actually the same type of regulator that's on their Polaris pressure regulated full kit here. But I love this because you don't really need a windscreen. I mean, a windscreen would be optimal if you're using this with just a little pot on there, but you don't need it because the pressure inside this burner will maintain. So you're not gonna deal with like a wicking out flame. Let's go into another comparison as to why you would probably want this type of stove or this type of stove. I'm actually gonna show you the Fixed R2 because this was my very first stove from Fire Maple, and I was really impressed with this. This stove, in my opinion, now this is only my opinion, is put together better and worked better than my Jetboil. I have a Jetboil Mini Mo currently in part of my collection, and I do love the entire setup of it, but this is a very complete set. For the price, you get absolutely everything in there. And when it came to my Jetboil, I had to buy separate parts for it, like my pot stand and stuff like that. This is different, and I'll show you guys why. So we'll open this up here. Has this retaining ring. I don't know how much video I was able to save from that last one thanks to the heat in the Midwest, but this guy right here just comes over, locks in, nice sturdy grip. Lid comes off. Inside here you have I have to apologize, my camera overheated on me. Life of a GoPro, I guess. So I put it in the camper for a little while, brought it back out so I can continue telling you about stoves. I don't know where I got left off because I just got an overheat alarm on it, and that sucked. Too bad cameras aren't as reliable as camp stoves, huh? So let's just start from here. What's a reason for owning this guy? It's lightweight. It does everything that these guys do, but just that whole beautiful heat exchanger lock-in mechanism is awesome. It doesn't lock, it sits on there, but it does make the pot a lot sturdier. Now, I've got a buddy of mine who every time we used to go camping, it wasn't camping if he didn't knock his food off the top of his stove at least once. You know who you are, Steve-O. But at any rate, let's talk a little bit about these because this setup is really nice. In fact, my friend Steve saw me use this stove so much when we went backpacking up into the Boundary Waters near Canada that he bought himself one as well. Now, he got the same one but a different color because you can't have the same stove as your buddy, but you can, but you can't, if you know what I mean. So this is the Fixed R2. This guy right here has this, you noticed I already redid I pulled that lock off. That's a pretty sweet latch on there. So pull that latch off, pull this over, lock it in. This is your lid, also a strainer. And this one hole on the strainer is great because when you do go to pour from it, it's like a stream instead of some of these others, including like the Petrel that has the 3 holes. It pours but not as well as like a one hole does, if that makes sense. So inside of this, you've got a pot stand, or not a pot stand, you have a fuel canister stand, I apologize. This guy right here is a pot stand. Pretty neat, huh? It turns like this to accommodate different pot sizes. And we'll get into that in just a moment. And then on the inside, you have the stove. It goes plastic side down, okay? And it goes plastic side down inside the canister. So that way you don't damage the inside of your pot. That's a pet peeve of mine. Okay, so here's a really cool thing about this Fixstar. When you want to, and this could be a deciding vote for you, like if you are somebody who wants to use something like this guy right here, this is the 8-ounce fuel canister. That's what this really is meant for. So you pull everything out, you stick the fuel canister on the top. It locks into the burner. Take your fuel canister footings here, wide side up, like that, right? Take your Fixstar pot, like that. Take your pot stand, like that. Take your lid, like that. Push the button, close it up. You have a complete unit. Now, with this guy, kind of the same thing. You take your fuel canister. We're just going to use it face down, so that way we don't have to worry about hiding everything. I'm not going to damage the inside of my pot because I don't like that. Take your burner. Like I said, this is the GreenPeak with the piezo igniter on it. Put it in its cute little bag here. Now, you can go and buy a small pot stand, and you know, I wonder, I think these pot stands are universal, so I bet you that you could probably, let's see, I'm pretty sure they are. Yeah, I think they are. Because they have 2 markings on them. I think you can even put this pot stand in here as well. I keep calling it a pot stand, but it's a fuel stand. Let's open it up and see. Let's double check. I don't want to mislead you. Yeah, so it does fit. So these stands are universal if you don't have one. I thought they were, I just had one of them brain farts, you know, we all get. So, fuel canister down into the bottom of your pot. Don't damage your pot. Probably take this guy, fold it up. Does he stick in there? Not the greatest. So it might not be a good option. Let's see. We put them on top. So the Fire Maple does not sit in there. That's a shame. But if you need it, you can probably slide it into something else. But it does close up really nice. This is a very positive locking handle. Look at that. It doesn't even, like, with a fuel canister, it doesn't even push out on the handle. The Stanley Cup will do that. It will push back on it. But this guy, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to lose anything. I love all of these style heat exchanger stoves. The petrol stove is actually so small, it'll fit right inside of one of these. So that's really the biggest deal. If you're going out and you're just doing like a backpacking meal, or if you are doing like coffee or tea, do you really want something this big? This could be like 2 to 3 people. Or, you know, 1 liter is a lot. So that could be your meal, cup of coffee or a cup of tea, your meal, some hot chocolate, and a little bit of water left over to maybe do some dishes with if you want to boil some water for dishes, or your silverware. I like to keep a little bit of water in the bottom of that and put my silverware in there when I'm done eating. These guys right here commonly take 13 ounces of water, which is a cup and 2/3. So this little gem right here should do that just fine. So let's follow the instructions on, oh, and let me show you something. I struggle with this because I'm so used to the other versions where you just grab. You're not going to open this unless you reach up here and squeeze these 2 pieces together. Like, I constantly in my own head, knowing I've opened this probably 100 times, that you can't do this. This doesn't want to work. You've got to, very simply, very nice. So we're gonna do this guy right here. This takes 13 ounces. This guy right here will do 20 ounces, right? Yeah, 20 ounces. I think it does really, really well at 20 ounces. 20 ounces is about right here for the top. You could probably do more, but why? You're gonna overboil. Watch overboiling, because if you overboil on your pot, it's gonna land on your stove. If you've not dealt with that before, it sucks, especially if you already have something in there. Getting coffee in a burner sucks. Getting coffee or tea in a burner sucks. Sometimes I'll boil my tea a little extra because I like it really strong and robust. Don't overboil it to where it overflows. So we're gonna go ahead and light this guy with the GreenPeak. I'm not gonna be using a windscreen because I like to utilize it as a standalone, and that's kind of the whole purpose of this heat exchanger, I feel. I do really like this. So when you go to put your burner on, always make sure that it is turned all the way off. Valve it off to the right. Always make sure it's off. You don't want to shoot yourself with a bunch of fuel when you're putting your stove together. That would suck. And I've had it happen. I've had them pop on me. So there we go. And this is the coolest thing about this stove, man. I like this piece of netter. I'm just messing around, but I just wanted you to see that. So when you do this guy, make sure you never put a dry pot on a stove. No, don't do that. So we're gonna go a hair over 13 ounces. The graduation marks are for 12. So there's 12. We're gonna go about right, just a hair over the 12 mark. And we're gonna put her on here. Look at that, isn't that cool? That is so neat. Put the lid on, and fuel on. We're going. That was fast. They normally say to let them set for 4 minutes. Double it. Just double it. 8 minutes, I'll be back to that guy. Now, one of the reasons why I always tell people to double check your stove and to turn it off when you go to plug it in is because of this guy right here. Watch this. When I have it all the way valved off and I want to close it up, it's going to stick off to the side like that, right? Well, if you want it to be more streamlined, you have to open up the valve. That way it'll go in with the rest of the flow of the stove. See? It's okay. You can face it up that way. You can face it any way you want to. You can stick it underneath the burner like this. Just valve it off when you open it up, or when you go to hook it up, that's all. This isn't insulated, right? There's no insulation on here. There is on here. I mean, honestly, other than just having a really cool design, and you can grab it, and if you're backpacking or whatever else, this is what you can do. You don't need to bring any other pots with these. You can just stick your hand under it here, hold on to it, and you can eat out of this, right? Have your nice long-handled spoon and eat out of it if you want. Clean it up. You don't need to bring another, like a pot. This is your eating pot, this is your cook pot, and that's really how these are designed. You can do the same with this, but this really isn't like a full meal size pot. This is something that really, really complements like a freeze-dried meal or a dehydrated meal or coffee or tea or whatever, hot chocolate, whatever it is that you want to drink. So for me, not having an insulation on this isn't a big deal. Honestly, a lot of times, like when I am using this guy and it's insulated, I end up taking this off when I'm washing it and scrubbing it because it got so freaking dirty. And the same way with this. That's why when you do buy one of these guys, if you decide to do that, look for the darker color options. It will help your gear look cleaner if you care about that. This was the only color option when I bought this one. So yeah, this was the only color option. Ideally, I like the blue. I wouldn't normally just go off and buy this, like this color, but then I got this cool bag from Hidden Woodsman, which like matches it perfect for my Possibles pouch to keep all my like silverware and cooking cutting knives. Whatever. But at any rate, yeah, it's just good to hang out with you guys and ramble about stoves. I hope that this will open up the door for some conversations about camp stoves from Fire Maple, about certain items that you may be interested in that you haven't seen, or maybe there's a question about something that you're curious about or you want to see, or a comparison between any of these stoves. Because that's what I do, that's what I like. I'm obsessed with camp stoves, always have been. And my timer is going off on our 8-minute mark. So let's give the first bite rule. Oh yeah. You wanna see this? You wanna see this? Nice and creamy, not runny. So they say 13 ounces. This is 14.5 ounces of water. The noodles are done all the way. I'm gonna give it a shot first for the first bite rule, but I'm gonna tell you right now, when it comes to beef stroganoff, I love pepper. So let's just give it a shot. Just a little bite here. Let's check this noodle. Perfect. Perfectly done. Mmm. 8 minutes is key, I'm telling you. 8 minutes is perfect, but it does need pepper. My fancy bag from Hidden Woodsman. I'm gonna add some pepper into it because I know what I like. You wanna know how much I like pepper? 2 of my little seasoning vials are pepper. I guess it's better than liking salt. Okay, let's give that a little try now with the pepper. Mmm. Oh my gosh. That's night and day difference. Oh my gosh, this is... Mmm. And everything is done. I just had a big piece of beef and it was completed. Like it was all the way hydrated all the way through. So I'm gonna enjoy this, and like I said, this is my birthday. This is what I'm doing. I'm just hanging out, enjoying camp at my camper right now. I hauled it out here just a couple days ago and just unwound with it. I absolutely like all forms of camping, whether it's in my RV, it's in my truck bed camper, if it's in a hammock, if it's in a tent, a hot tent, heck, if it's on the ground, or if I built a shelter. I love it all because I firmly believe that there's something to be said about camping. However you do it, just get outside and enjoy it. And if you like camp stoves, we're gonna get along just fine. So thank you so much for coming along and taking a glance at this petrol pot, and for taking a glance at all these other things that I have. I have a lot more stoves I didn't bring with me, but I could go and go and go and go and go and keep talking stoves because that's my thing. But I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.